to sit there like that all night. So, welcome to this October 11th meeting of the Manhattan City Commission. This is a work session. Would you join? We'll have roll call first. So, Jared Wassinger, if you'd call the roll.
Mayor Morris.
Yes, present.
Commissioner Haddisall.
Present.
Commissioner Mata.
Here.
The quorum of 3 is met.
Thank you very much. This is the first time, I think, all year we've rolled with 3, so it's an unusual evening. The next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll join me.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I do know that Yusha Reddy and the city manager, Ron Fear, are in Washington, D.C. at the AUSA, the Association of the U.S. Army Conference. And that they bring back, that'll be a good thing to have. And so the first thing on the agenda, I just wanted to explain, I'm not sure about when, but doesn't matter, we don't have to say. I just wanted you to know that it was work-related, that they're not here. The first item on the work session agenda is an update from the Riley County Police Department, and Interim Director Kurt Muldrup is our lead person. And it's been a few months, and so we're happy to have this update. It's important that we do it. I know the law board provides information. You provide information to the law board, but I think some of what you talk about here is just a little bit different. So it's good to have you here. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And apologize, I haven't been in a while. Honestly, went off the radar, which has had several things on it. So.
Yeah, yes, the radar, right.
So several updates, and then I wanted to also just give you some crime stats, and I think it's really timely that the second item on here, I think, fits well with that. First, I think you all are aware we just had the National Night Out at the City Park, and that was tremendously successful. I've probably never had more off-the-cuff comments, cards, emails, and texts from people in general about the success of that, and I think it was really great. It was where we had all the emergency services out there, EMS, fire had their trucks out there, had all of our specialty teams out there. This first year we had the Army involved, and they had several specialty vehicles out there, which was just a huge success. Our food trailer was out there, provided lots of food. Ran out right at the end, which is really perfect timing. The weather was really ideal for it, so I think we had a real strong turnout. It was in City Park, and I think we'll continue to have it there. I think it's a great venue and a real opportunity to pull everyone together to see what all the different emergency services do, and really just honestly, a great time with the public. So very successful event, and also Rotary helped us.
The heat broke that night or day, and it wasn't so hot. It was very pleasant.
It was great weather. And last year it was pretty hot, but still with all the trees in City Park, as well as just a great central location. People can walk to it. Just a great place to come visit and spread out. So that was really successful.
Exactly.
I was kind of skipping actually out of order what I thought. Also is something we're involved in this. I'm not sure if everyone's aware, but October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Excuse me. So on Friday, the police department took part in a silent witness ceremony out in front of the courthouse in the courthouse plaza, where basically we had several metal silhouettes or statues, but silhouettes of individuals that represented individuals across the state of Kansas that have died from domestic violence over the years. I didn't represent all of them, but they had certain, probably about 12 different folks that were represented. Read the story about it as just a way to draw attention to, obviously, a really serious matter. We have one of those silhouettes now in the lobby of the police department. It's a silhouette of a mother and a child, representing a mother and an infant that were murdered several years back just outside of Ogden here in Riley County. And so that's in our lobby. Again, we'll be there all month. We'll be involved in other things with the Crisis Center. We work really close with the Crisis Center and the County Attorney's Office in several other events that will occur this month to draw awareness to that. As far as crime stats, the KBI crime stats were released earlier in the month, or last month, and for the 19th year running, Riley County has had lower rates in 2021, actually lower rates for 19 years than the state of Kansas for Part 1 crimes. Riley County had, and this is measured by the rate per 1,000 residents. So Riley County had 18.8, Kansas was 27.6 for total crime. Violent crime, Riley County was 2.8, Kansas was 4.6. And in property crime, Riley County was 15.9, Kansas was 23. I also have our monthly crime report that we put out each month. As far as statistics, I won't go through every one of them unless requested, but overall, all areas of our crime statistics, with the exception of robbery, which I'll explain in a minute, and I believe it was vehicle thefts, were substantially down over the past 5-year average. Robbery, there were 5 and I'm talking about this month. And then the Part 1 crimes are projected to be 18.8% below average for the end of the year. As if we continue with this trend, we'll continue to be overall 18.8 below the average at the end of the year. Robbery, we had 5 of them. And the important thing about that is we can have one incident, but we count it by victim. And in one of them, we had a few victims in it. I think it was 3. So really we had one incident, but we listed as 3 because there are 3 different victims. But we had 5 this month. And then vehicle burglaries, I believe it was, vehicle thefts, there were 12. And that was up this month from last year. But in each of the areas, we're projected to be below the 5-year average at the end of the year. So I think crime rate continues to be a good thing, and that's why I say I think it's timely with the folks here, because this is what draws, I think, helps draw people to our community. I think about it with Scorpion coming. They want to come to a safe community, and I think this reinforces to Manhattan that they have Manhattan and Riley County, they have a safe community. In fact, when we were at the dedication from the governor this week with the transportation stuff, one of the things that stood out to me were the 3, I believe they said, pillars of a strong community, and one of them was safety. And again, I think that's important to point out. We have a safe community. On maybe a not so well, and actually I'll give you that. That's our opinion based on our statistics, but that ties in with our community survey we're doing. We've launched our community survey, and it's going to be open for the public from October 1st to December 31st. Just realized I failed to bring little business cards. We have cards with a QR code that people can use to take it. It's on our website. We're going to have stickers in various businesses throughout the community, and we've really hardly done a push in the press for it. We already have 718 responses today. The goal is going to be 1,500 by the end of the year, and I think we'll easily get to that. So really happy about the response, and we haven't even really pushed it hard yet. So I encourage everyone to go to the website and look for opportunities to fill out that survey, because we take it seriously. We'll look at each of the questions, and we'll use that in our planning next year for how we do enforcement, things that we take focus on, as well as just the strategic plan and budgetary issues. So I really encourage everyone to take that. Probably should have done this at first, but kind of ending maybe on a negative note here is just want to again highlight the fentanyl issue we're continuing to have across the country, but even experiencing here. Just over the weekend, we had 2 additional overdoses. These involved a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old, and that's kind of what it's been lately is young people. Overall, since August, we've had 6 overdoses, no deaths yet, and a large part of that is because of the availability of Narcan. As I've told people before, that's a great thing. It can bring people back instantly. The downside of this is it's very publicly available, which is good, but we're finding people are actually not that worried about using the illicitly bought prescription drugs, or what they believe are prescription drugs, that tend to be laced with fentanyl, because, hey, we'll both use, you keep a thing of Narcan with you, and if I go down, you use it, kind of the buddy system, which, is not what it was intended for, so it makes them feel safe using it. We've even had reports, not locally, but across the country, that's also some of them are seeing that as a potential, the intense high being brought back from the point of death. And you just go, how do you combat that? And it does. Narcan has worked very well. We've had people that were clearly going to die, but since you get Narcan in, they come back quickly. And many of our victims have then been uncooperative with us afterwards and don't want to provide information. So that's my update. Still hiring, still looking for corrections officers. We're really drastically low in corrections officers, so continue to encourage people to consider that as a profession. We're doing pretty good in police officers. I believe we're down 3 right now, but have an action going and several in the pipe, and down probably 2 dispatchers now. We were 1, but have had 1 take another job with the county. So positive, we didn't lose her out of the county, but lost her to emergency management.
And how many corrections officers are you down?
I believe we're down 14 right now.
That about
About
what I remember.
30%.
Yeah, okay. That's quite a few.
It is a lot.
Hard to run a jail,
And
right?
the numbers are up in the jail, so that makes it even more difficult.
That's what you reported at the law board meeting, that the number of inmates is up.
Yes.
It's just a temporary, hopefully temporary,
Yeah.
high
So
number.
far, it's been about a year or 2.
Yeah.
hoping it does
Well,
go down, but yeah.
Since COVID, it's been going back up.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's the season for community surveys. I think every organization is doing one. The Regional Crisis Center was having a reception this evening.
Yes, and Captain Friedline and
At the
our victim advocate is there.
United Methodist Church on College. And so I stopped by, but I couldn't stay, so I don't know if there were any announcements. I'm waiting to hear. And I'm really glad that the Neighborhood Night Out event is successful. I know we used to, some communities do it, the whole community does Neighborhood Night Out, and here we've kind of chosen to go our separate ways sometimes. The Manhattan Day is one event, and Neighborhood Night Out's another, but however we do it, it all works out, so
Yeah.
appreciate this.
This one, we definitely were encouraging everyone to come. I think we had people
Support
from
of
the
the
county and
police,
outside
yeah.
of the community, so.
Is there any news about Aggieville? Are you, there was the alley there was the scene of some fights.
Right, we had
Recently.
a rather serious aggravated battery there.
Yeah.
I think with the construction, we've talked about with the construction going on down there, I think that's likely to help
Okay.
tremendously with the back 9 properties going on. I think just all the improvements down there, I think are going to continue to improve that, but it continues to be a focus for us. We have, there's a lot of activity down there. It's positive, it's
Yeah.
good, but at night, and when you mix alcohol with a lot of people, you tend to start to have problems, so.
That's one of the good things about the construction and the detours, right? Traffic patterns change.
The end result,
Walking
it will help with better lighting, et
Yeah,
cetera. I think
exactly.
Getting that dark alleyway kind of
Yeah.
cleaned up. Yes, sir.
So when you said vehicle thefts were up, is that thefts of vehicles or from vehicles?
Yeah, actual motor vehicle thefts, not vehicle burglaries, yeah.
So are people leaving the keys in the cars, or people, how do they?
Several of these were vehicles, or keys were left in the vehicles, but it's
People still do that?
it's a thing. Some of it's joyriding. It'll be stolen to go commit another crime, or is taken to Topeka or somewhere else for something. Others, they are targeting vehicles. Yeah, it's definitely still a thing. Targeting them, parting them out, and then selling the parts. Fortunately, catalytic converter thefts have have occurred but haven't been high. You always hesitate to say these things, you know, it's like, oh, there's an idea.
It's been a while. Robbery versus burglary. Robbery is person-on-person stealing, and burglary is person-on.
Right, robbery is the forcible taking of something from a person through threat of force or violence.
Okay.
And then theft is just, it wouldn't be taking it from a person, but taking it either from, you know, off the table, shoplifting, et cetera. A structure that you didn't have authority to be in, then it would be burglary of a structure.
Okay.
Or if it's from a vehicle burglary.
And on the, are most of the overdoses fentanyl related, pretty much?
The overdoses I'm talking about were
Right, okay.
specifically, the 6 are fentanyl related.
And it's generally, somehow, people are taking a drug they don't realize, or fentanyl's not supposed to be in it. Is
Right.
that correct?
So what they're doing is buying what they believe may be prescription drugs that they're getting illegally, oxycodone, they call them dirty 30s, things like that, that are being manufactured to look like the real thing but aren't, and then have fentanyl in them.
So the drug dealers are trying to kill off their customers, apparently?
You know, you
Yeah. All right, thanks.
get your prescription from the doctor, but obviously the 13 and 16-year-old and others like that, that's not what they're looking for, so.
So I have a question for you that it's pretty specific, so you might not be able to answer it, but maybe next time you come, you can. We even talked here about vandalism, destruction, and stealing of political signs, which has become a kind of a bigger issue over the years, and this last election was really bad with it's a lot of graffitiing, a lot of stealing, tearing up. At $7 Catholic School, they had one that was
Right.
graffitied over pretty bad. And some people let me know that they had actually called the police, and it was kind of, well, we really can't do anything about it. What did you pay for the sign? We talked about a possible ordinance, but then Katie told us, I think there is something on the state books that was pretty severe, actually, I thought, that, and now people have their Ring cameras and everything else, so you might actually get the evidence to actually find out who it is that's doing that. Are you, the police department, prepared to actually take action on those, or what's your response to that?
Absolutely. I mean, I would like to know specifically from the person that said that we said there's not much we can do. Granted, if there's no evidence, yes, but I never like that being said in a way that's like, you know, nothing we can do. I don't want to give people false hopes that, oh, we're going to find this person and do something about it. But we didn't have a lot of reports of it. We had some reports of it occurring. And I imagine because some people just feel like, and they replace it or don't report it. I'd encourage them to report it so we do know. And you're right, Ring cameras. In fact, that's one of the things we're trying to push is Safe Cam, where people will register with the police department, those that have, whether it's a Ring or any other type of camera that has any kind of surveillance outside. It's not something we have access to. It's just letting us know you have that camera, because video evidence like that is helpful. Again, having video evidence of 3 people going up and taking it doesn't necessarily mean we'll be able to identify them, but it helps, and you never know, like any crime, what little piece may be that piece of the puzzle we need. So I'm disappointed if we conveyed a message that, you know, there's nothing we can do, so don't report it, or we're not going to take anything that serious. We take any report serious. The reality is, if there's a little evidence, it may be difficult to prosecute or find out who does it, but we absolutely will take the report, and if there's evidence to prosecute someone that we believe it occurs, we'll either issue a citation if it's appropriate, or send it to the appropriate court for the courts to make a decision to prosecute, like we do any crime where we believe we have enough evidence to prosecute.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things, if we actually do catch someone and get a little publicity, that'll help kind of stop
agree.
it going forward.
I agree.
Thank
And that's something that's going to keep happening each year, whether it's even just signs for sale signs, et cetera. People think that's cute. Now, I know in political situations, there's a whole different motive, and to me, that is far more serious. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming this evening, and we'd like, I don't know how often we have, is it quarterly or that you come, I think? So, yeah, all right, great. Thank you for coming. Okay. One thing I did fail to do is bring up the subject of public comment. But we don't have so many people here, I think we need order. But, I mean, so as far as I'm concerned, we'll just have public comment after the next item because the mayor messed up. How's that? Ooh, okay, so the next item on the agenda is the Convention and Visitors Bureau third quarter report. So welcome. Hi.
Good evening, Commissioners. On a lighter note, happy to
Yes,
be here.
please.
Last time I had to join you via video. I don't know if you remember that, but
Lighter.
I'm pleased to be with you this evening. My name's Kevin Roberts. I currently serve as Chair of the Steering Committee, and it's my pleasure to introduce Karen tonight to come up and give a third quarter report. She'll be covering such things as the hotel and meetings that have gone on in town, as well as introducing a new staff member who's here with us tonight, but I'm told doesn't have to speak. And also talking about the new hospitality training we're doing. And then after that, we'll have Darren Rudloff with Rudloff Solutions and Berkeley Young with Young Strategies, who've been working with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, as some of you know, on their strategic plan. So they'll report on their findings, both some great things about Manhattan and some things we need to improve upon. So with that, I'll turn it over to Karen.
Welcome, Karen. Hi.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's good to see you all. What Kevin didn't share with you was he was insistent to be here because he has been in Chicago today doing a presentation, and he flew in just for this meeting. So
Oh my gosh.
that's how much it matters to him, right? So third quarter, it's always exciting. Stand in front of this one. It's always exciting. Okay,
In front of
can you
one
hear
of
me?
them, but not in the middle.
Not in the middle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are-
Well, as we get going, I wanted to share with you about, I want to make sure that we are showing from the beginning. So there we go. So our third quarter, meetings are looking up. Typically, July through September is a little bit lighter. July, August, we take a little bit of a breather, but you can tell that we're beginning to be on the road to recovery. We worked directly with 44 meetings through the third quarter, which equaled about 11,320 attendees, representing 5,587 room nights, with that economic impact of being about $3.6 million. So again, we are encouraged. We really don't want to talk too much about 20 and 21, but you can see that we are beginning to look about like what we were in 18. 19 again was such a banner year that we had high hopes. So again, our team's doing a great job of working with meetings and seeing those come to life.
Karen, before you leave that, on total room nights for 2022, it's 5,500, more than 5,500, and that's more than history, anything in history. Is that
Yes, I
true?
think it has to do with how we are recording. We're more accurate with those. So we had 5,587. I don't have that report in front of me to share with you as to what exactly those meetings and events represent. Do you team recall that?
2018 was kind of a high.
2018
and we
was
only had
high. Yeah.
3,500 then, so I just wondered.
Yeah, it ebbs and
You
flows.
could be tracking different at
Yeah.
this 5-year point also, so,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, just ebbs and flows along the way.
Okay, thank you.
We are so thrilled to finally have our convention sales manager on board. Jen Alley is no stranger to our community. Jen is a Kansas State University grad. She has her degree in marketing. Believe it or not, I cannot believe this actually, Jen, that she has been in the industry for about 20 years. She comes to us as she started with at the beginnings of time. Is it still the Holiday Inn? It was the Holiday Inn. Then she went through a couple of flag changes, and then most recently brought the Bluemont to life, the Bluemont Hotel. And so as she joins us, she certainly has a keen understanding of meetings, how hoteliers need to have meetings to fill their rooms, the importance of Manhattan's offerings are to those meeting planners. And so with that, she has been a great addition to our team. I know Marcia and I both are just thrilled to have her on board. She has hit the ground running. We have kept her very, very busy. She just has returned. In our fourth quarter report, we'll be able to share with you just a little bit more, but she most recently went to Small Market Meetings, which was held in Wichita, and has begun to cultivate relationships with meeting planners that have not been in Manhattan before but have a keen interest. So stay tuned. Our third quarter sporting events begin again to show our recovery as it's taking place. As you look, we've had as we've talked throughout COVID, sporting events really were what kind of saved our bacon, if you wish. We hosted or participated in 14 sporting events through that third quarter with about 2,255 attendees. Room nights were down a little bit more. Marcia can certainly attest to that in the fact that many times as people are booking hotels, they don't specifically book within a block, but we do know that they are utilizing our hotels. That estimated economic impact with only 790 room nights being used would be almost $700,000 in economic impact with that. But we are thrilled because we are always working into the future. And we are thrilled to announce again that this March in 2023, not only will we be home to the 2A state basketball once again, that following weekend, we have landed the opportunity to be home to the Kansas Special Olympics basketball tournament. So it's that second weekend of spring break. We're going to need about 200 volunteers in order to make that work. They will be utilizing our new rec facilities. We look forward to that being home to Manhattan, Kansas for longer than what 2A has been. 2A has now been here for 30 plus years. So for us to be able to have facilities that can welcome those athletes to our community is to be commended by Marcia's hard work as well as our community's hard work of having venues in which we can accommodate them. So if you are interested, general public, any of you that are here in helping volunteer with that, we can put you to work right away because we will need volunteers in order to make that happen. We always like to give you an overview as to how well our hotels are performing with our STAR report. Our STAR report, we could not survive without that STAR report. This is month to month for the month of August. And again, I have not received September's yet, so this is as current as we can get. As you can see for the month of August, and this reflects for those several years what August typically is performing by, we are at about 59.4% occupancy for August, with that average daily rate continuing to go up, about $103.43. With the revenue per room, that's been a good deal for our hotels because that revenue per room is at $61.40. You can see our supply is at 40,000. Our demand was 23,000, yielding those revenues of about $2.4 million. Year to date, this is what we really are looking at. That year to date, we still are way below from where we would like to be. We're hovering at about 54% occupancy through August, year to date. Again, you can see we've got a ways to go before we get back to where we were in 18 and 19. Year to date, that average rate is at $105.54, with the revenue per room at $57.04. So again, we're on our way back. I am confident that September you are going to see a different picture because with our weekly occupancy, if you recall, we had 3 home football games. We also had conferences that were beginning to fill our hotels and properties. So just to be lightly, 54.8, that first weekend or that first week in September, 72.2% occupancy that second week, 66.6% that third week, and then 65% occupancy the fourth week. So September has improved greatly, and again, I don't have that complete data yet from Smith Travel Research. On Friday, September 9th, we again wrote history for Manhattan. The future is very, very bright in our community. Indeed, it was a great day for us, as that was the day that we broke ground for the Museum of Art and Light. Again, that will add to our museum offerings, as well as the ability to attract and to keep visitors in our community just a little bit longer. Lieutenant Governor David Tolan was there, and I really appreciated his comments as the keynote speaker. His comment was that everyone should be wearing sunglasses when they come to Manhattan, Kansas, because certainly our future is bright. I couldn't agree with him more in the fact that there is something always happening that makes you happy, makes you want to learn more, wants you to stay longer, and to enjoy our community even more. Certainly, we want to be able to treat our visitors right when they come to Manhattan. We have been talking with you about our hospitality training that we have been doing. Our hospitality training, we finally were able to launch that the last 2 weeks of September. That has been out and available. We've done what I would call a soft offering to our frontline employees. To date, we have had 51 active users that have actually got on. They have taken 212 classes. There are 5 videos in which they view. And of those, 42 courses have been completed. So that means that we have 42 people that are out in our community on our front lines that are now certified, trained, hospitality, treat them right, certified, trained folks, simply by taking a hospitality training that we have created. That hospitality training, again, is complimentary. What it does is it drives them to our website so that they know what is happening in our community. So when someone is at a restaurant and they say, "Tell me what else is there to do in this community," they know how to respond. Those videos also teach them how to handle someone that maybe might be a little bit grumpy, maybe didn't have enough sleep the night before, or isn't pleased with the service that they've received. Overall, that hospitality training is designed to complement the training that they are receiving in their own respective business, but to be able to encourage them to handle folks in the right way as we continue to welcome visitors into our community. We will continue to ping our frontline community and businesses so that they can take that, and there is an incentive for that. We will have monthly drawings for those that have completed the test. In those monthly drawings, they will receive an attraction ticket so that they can go to the Discovery Center, they can go to the zoo, they can go to the Midwest Dream Car Museum, they can go and experience some of those things that they've learned about. We will have quarterly drawings in which they will be able to be incentivized with Little Apple dollars. So again, the more you take this, you will have to win some cash. And then bi-yearly, twice a year, there will be a drawing for a Visa gift card. So there is incentive besides the fact of having a nice little printed out certificate or a sticker in your window of your business to say that you are hospitality trained. So you should begin to see those pop up. We know that we have one hotel property that a bulk of their employees have already taken that training, and several of our restaurants as well. So stay tuned. In the fourth quarter presentation, we'll be able to give you even a more robust report. I know, Mark, you're going to be terribly disappointed. It is my understanding that the audio does not work this evening for us to entice you with some of our social media ads that have been so very effective. But if you go to the link that is on your information, that link works, and you can be amazed with how we entice people to come to visit Manhattan, because we know social media works, right? And so with those, our July ad, which is the one that is on my left, we created in Manhappiness You Will Find in July. It was a great campaign that we ran. We ran it on Facebook and Instagram, and it featured 6 different videos highlighting all of the fun things that you could do. Breathtaking views, tons of fun fan splash, K-State game day, anticipating that was coming, delicious flavors, a place to explore trails, and a zipping adventure. So you want to make sure you go to that link. Our August ads, we ran a Game Day in Manhattan ad linked to our Game Day guide on our website. We also ran an ad welcoming students back to MHK. This was targeted toward college-age students, and together the ads gained 668,916 impressions in that 1 month. And then the September ads, we focused on fall in Manhattan. It's a very clever ad. It's the one that is dark, but it is a very clever ad. It features a video that highlights many of the fun things to do in Manhattan during the fall season. This ad gained 741,803 impressions during the month of September. So we are pleased to say, oh look, it does work, Jared. Whoa! How cool is that? Look at that.
Yep.
You weren't disappointed. How about this one? It's Catterday. Here we welcome our students back. Preview. And this one. There's always something to do in Manhattan, isn't it? Oh boy, I want to go to the next one. So, we're pleased to say that we've increased our followers by over 20% so far this year, and we can't wait to see how many more followers we get by the end of the year. Once again, we had an increase in our impressions. The third quarter saw a 27% increase compared to the second quarter in 2022. Our social media continues to be a great way to raise the awareness for our visitors to consider Manhattan as that destination. So today has been a day that we have focused and dedicated to tourism and tourism into the future. Our steering committee was hard at work this morning, bright and early, 7:30, that we met with Berkeley and Darren. They're going to come up and tell us a little bit more about the findings. As you know, they are working with, you probably took a survey. Survey seems to be the common theme of the evening. But we surveyed our community. We surveyed community leaders such as yourselves. We surveyed our chamber staff. We surveyed meeting planners, event planners, folks that really use Manhattan as a destination. So that survey, we have gone over that, the results that our team is going to be sharing with us, setting the stage for us to be able to put a strategic plan to the future, to be able to get us to go, to march on, to be able to promote Manhattan as a desirable destination. Darren and Berkeley are tourism experts. They specialize in working with communities such as ours. They have worked with 150 different communities. Small to mid-sized cities are really their areas of expertise in 35 different states. I have to share with you that as I welcomed them into our community last night, met them at the airport, and it was about 5:30, a great time to come into Manhattan. Both of them, Berkeley has been here we determined about 12, 15 years ago. Darren has never been here, and I was delighted when they stepped into the airport. They went, wow, this is really cool. And then I asked Darren, I'm going to throw Darren under the bus for a moment. Darren, you've never been to Manhattan, Kansas before. Tell me what you thought when you thought about Manhattan, Kansas. Well, I guess I should say what you think about Kansas. Darren is not unlike anyone else. Darren said, probably thought of Dorothy, and I probably thought it was flat. So that was just the ticket for me as I was driving within the speed limit, I might add, so that I could show him the beautiful views of Manhattan, the many offerings that we had from west to east, and the community that we have worked so diligently to make as a desirable destination. So with that, I'm going to have Darren and Berkeley come up and share again Mark and John, thank you for attending today. We had a power lunch that focused on tourism. The message was given there as well. But third time's the charm for us to hear this as to how we move forward. So without further ado, take it away.
Thank you, Karen. Mayor, commissioners, and staff, it's an honor to be here with you tonight. I am Berkeley Young. Look, you get your own microphone.
And I'm Darren Rudloff.
And so we want to talk to you a little bit about the work we are doing. This is not a final report. This is a preliminary report because we have conducted a survey, had 130 community leaders take a survey about the future of tourism and Manhattan as a destination. And then we took that data and had a workshop this morning with your advisory committee for the CVB, and we spent 4 hours really digging into the response data and the information in detail to talk about the future. And as I came into this industry in 1993. At that time, if I attended a conference, the speakers would say, a CVB here is here to promote a community, and we don't care about what happens in the community. That we are the advertising agency for the city. We promote outside, we invite people in. Well, over the decades, we've learned that there's 2 ways to grow the economy of travelers who come here and spend money. And the first is to invite more people to come. The second is once they're here, let's maximize their engagement, their length of stay, and hopefully, as my father used to say when I came home from a trip, he said, show me how much money you have left in your pocket. And he said, you always come home with nothing but the penny in your loafers. And that's what we want, is we want travelers to come here and have maximum engagement, make maximum impact on the community, and provide the maximum number of jobs. And so we have to pay attention to the community. And do we have what is appealable to people? Do we have what is in the long term sustainable? That it has to be appealing and sustainable. And do we have the right products, the right experiences? And, experiences change. And 20 years ago, who saw axe throwing as being a thing for visitors to do and for residents to do? And so we have to stay on top of the trends. And so I would begin with this phrase that came from Mara Gast, who is a Texan. She was the chair of our International Association of Convention and Visitors Bureau. And she made this statement that if you build a place people want to visit, you build a place where people want to live. And if you build a place where people want to live, you'll build a place where people want to work. If you build a place where people want to work, you'll build a place where business has to be. And if you build a place where business has to be, you'll build a place where people have to visit. Now, in most cities, they haven't done most of that. And tourism was kind of siloed in a whole separate economic development strategy. But we can report, having seen a lot of communities, that Manhattan, I would put in the top 3% of the communities that we have visited and worked with, because the vision, almost every town, particularly in Middle America, we're trying to figure out what to do with that suburban mall that's been abandoned. And this city had the vision to put it downtown. And most cities are trying to figure out how to get just one hotel in their downtown because they're all out at highway exits. And not here. You have created this amazing place to live where people want to work, where business has to be, and it's turned out to be a great destination for visitors. And so the heavy lifting is done, and we have worked with communities where they need to spend $50 to $100 million before they can start promoting tourism. And we're here to tell you the heavy lifting is done, that you have built one heck of a great destination. And if there's anything that I have found in the heartland of America, and I've worked with almost every surrounding state, and out in the heartland, people are hardworking and humble. And at the core of marketing, you have to brag, and you have to be really proud of what you've built and brag and tell people about it. And it is a worthy task to invite people to come to Manhattan, Kansas as a destination, that all the elements are there. And I would even argue that city managers' conferences and mayors' conferences could all be invited here to see what you've done and how it has all come together to be a great destination for people to visit. So a future study has been done every other year for the last 8 years to understand what's going on with destinations. And at the core of that future study is the understanding that we have to, as a Convention and Visitors Bureau, we have to pay attention to the destination and make sure we are understanding those issues that hold us back and the things that we have to work on so that we're not marketing a decaying product or something that's becoming obsolete, that we have to stay on trend. And so they created the assessment tool, that diagnostic tool, the world's longest survey that many of you took, and it's designed like a yardstick. It asks the same questions of leaders in cities all over the country, and the questions cover all the elements that make up the perfect destination. And then you can, by measuring yourself that way, you can see where you fit and what you need to work on and what things you're doing great at and what things you could do better at. And so the future study had participants from all over the world who helped determine that. And what they identified in the most recent study is that there's 3 transformational opportunities for cities and destinations. And here's the bonus round, folks, is in most cities, I have to do a lot of work to convince leaders to work on these things. And in your case, you've already been doing them. You're way ahead of the curve. And so number 1 is destination alignment. Aligning the public, private, and civic sectors drives destination performance. And Kevin asked me at the beginning tonight, he said, how often do you present to city councils? And I said, all the darn time. But usually I'm the one tourism presentation they've had all year. And so the fact that you get these detailed quarterly presentations shows just that. It's alignment between Chamber and Convention and Visitors Bureau and tourism, the different agencies aligning with you. And so you're there. Sustainable development, destination and product development should marry people, planet, profit, and policy. And so paying attention to all of those different aspects of the community and how you fit in. And we had an amazing tour this afternoon at the Foothills Center. I mean, absolutely amazing facility and certainly sustainable in the long run. And what you've done with the town and all the elements, just remarkable. Values-based marketing, communities' values, goals, and energy are the new competitive advantage. And so it's making sure that the way the Convention and Visitors Bureau markets and promotes Manhattan is valued by the leaders and the residents of the community, and that they see the value in bringing visitors here. And you know, in economic development, you can recruit a company to come here and bring 1,000 jobs. Or in the case of Florida, they know that if they bring 900 new visitors to town, and of course in Florida they have a long length of stay, but they know for every 900 visitors that come to town, it creates another full-time job. And so there's a direct correlation to the people, and as we bring more visitors here and as we bring them year-round and get out of being seasonal, then we're creating more full-time jobs. And that is a value that can be shared by all residents of the community. And so Darren's going to walk you through our planning process and what we did.
Basically, let's touch upon the world's largest survey. Basically, this is a survey not just of random individuals, but it's of the leaders in the community. This shows who we surveyed. We surveyed the industry members, the board, the staff, hotel partners, attractions, many people in the community, elected officials, economic development partners, arts and cultural professionals, historic preservation, education, but also the marketplace. Who are your customers? We talked to them about what they think about Manhattan. What did we ask them about? We asked them a lot of questions about destination strength. This is how good you are on the physical aspects of Manhattan, your attractions, your dining and shopping experiences, your outdoor recreation, events and festivals, convention and meeting facilities, accommodations, etc. There are 12 big categories for the hard physical infrastructure of the travel industry. There are also 12 variables on destination alignment. Berkeley just talked about, is your tourism efforts aligned with the community? Here it is. Does your travel industry have business support, community support, resident support, government support? Is the visitor bureau organized well? Is it run well? What about workforce? What about the culture of your hospitality workers, et cetera? So this is the softer people side of the industry, if you will. Of your survey, you had 130 respondents, and you can see who responded. You had a great turnout and a really good mix of the different types of individuals in the community. You can see 29% were community leaders, 22% customers, the Chamber of Commerce well represented, your CVB industry partners, a good mix of everybody. And we will say that you participants self-identified. They said who they are and what category they were in. Berkeley talked about this being a yardstick. One benefit of the Destination Next model is it measures everyone against these same yardsticks, if you will, these same variables. And then it plots you on this plot. The hard infrastructure is going right to left. Weaker destinations are on the left. If you're really strong in terms of your tourism product, you're on the right. Destination alignment, the softer things, better ones are up top, less so down at the bottom. So everyone wants to be a trailblazer in the upper right. And that's a strong destination in terms of the hard issues and the soft issues. Everyone's working toward that.
And we deal with very few trailblazers.
Very few trailblazers.
Most cities rate themselves in the bottom left, and explorers saying we've got some work to do on both. We've got to work on the experience and we've got to work on the intangibles.
And most trailblazer cities are bigger cities that have major attractions, major international airports, professional sports teams, et cetera. So that's usually who's in the trailblazing system, which leads us to this.
Boom.
The industry average is, of course, right at the intersection. And Manhattan is kind of stuck there, but it's between the Y and the A. So you are in the trailblazer category. You have above average destination alignment of how you deal with the soft issues, and you're above average in terms of the hard issues on the destination. So this is just great news for Manhattan. You scored very well. Very few communities of your size score up there. This shows how the different stakeholders ranked you. The good news here is that everyone clusters pretty tightly. Everyone sees Manhattan in a similar manner. Sometimes we see somebody way off and it's like, okay, is there a communication issue? Is there an information issue? Or is someone just seeing the world differently? The fact that you're all pretty much clustered there together is good news because everyone is consistent.
We also looked at the age of the respondents, and oftentimes in smaller to mid-sized cities, we see the youngest people give the worst ratings, meaning they're more critical that the town's not delivering what they want. But when you read the full report, we're saving you from all 78 pages tonight. But in the full report, you'll see that some of the highest responses came from the youngest respondents. And that's yet another affirmation for what you have going on in Manhattan.
Here's,
What's the big circle to the left of the middle?
It's the size, the bigger circle, the bigger the dot, the more people in that
Right.
response
Yeah.
group. Yeah,
that's the Chamber of Commerce
it's-
Board of
Yeah.
Directors.
Okay,
yeah. And so you could argue usually the people who are most informed in these issues on a daily basis and working on it tend to, I think it's always healthy when they're the toughest on their rating scale and not giving what we would call Chamber of Commerce answers. Okay?
They deal with the problems every
Yeah.
day, so they're
no,
knowledgeable
no,
about
I
it.
just wondered, thank you.
Yes.
Our colors aren't here. Our colors aren't here. This is how you,
I sure aren't.
you know, this is how you scored yourself. The middle column on the right is your destination average, and how it compares to the industry average is in the middle. The bottom line is, again, your scores are quite high, and this is how you rank them in terms of importance as well. You said sporting events, dining, shopping, and entertainment, accommodations were your three most important issues. And you can see that you're about average on the first two, but then, look at you, you're above average, way above average on accommodations for convention and meetings, a little bit below on outdoor recreation and at events and festivals, but again, on destination access, you're positive again, communication infrastructure, very positive, local mobility and access, very positive. Again, you're significantly above average of all the destinations who have taken this survey.
And I have presented this in a number of communities where it was not this easy. And we had to stand up and say, wow, you have a lot of dissatisfaction and a lot of frustrated people with the way things are going. So it's a pleasure to be here in Manhattan, Kansas with you tonight because these are some of the most positive ratings we've ever worked with.
This is showing the same information broken out by the stakeholder groups. Again, you can see how high the scores are for the different areas. And again, the positive thing to take away here is most of the bars are approximately the same height. Everyone is measuring these variables pretty much in the same way. Again, this is showing one more aspect. What are the highest ranking scoring variables of the entire report? Your convention and meetings industry, health and safety of the community, your accommodations, destination access, that's how people get here, and outdoor recreation, lower scoring variables, events, festivals, local mobility and access. Local mobility is internal movement within the community, sporting events and attractions.
And low scoring is relative. Look at the variance from the highest to the lowest. They're all pretty close. We're splitting hairs here.
You really don't have any low lows here.
Yeah.
In terms of destination alignment, these are those people items. The story is the same. Workforce development was, you said, was the most important. And it's your only real weakness, but look at the industry average. It's everyone's weakness. Then look at your partnership with economic development. You're significantly higher. Government support significantly higher, et cetera, et cetera.
Look at all of these, how close they are to a 4, and these are all on a 5-point scale. And so we're again in that middle column, your destination average. And so all of these rated very well on a 5-point scale, but notice that destination or that workforce development is first in importance, and the respondents rated these in order of importance and then gave the average for how you're doing at it. And so what they're saying is workforce development is the most important thing, and it's by far the lowest rating on all of these. And this is true. The travel industry was hit harder than any other sector of the economy on the workforce issue. And it continues to be an area that we are having to dig ourselves out of a very deep hole on workforce.
Same thing here. See how everyone pretty much ranks the major categories in the same way. But you can see, look at workforce development, third from the right. Look how low it is compared to all the rest. And again, the same information, slightly different. Highest scoring variables of the big variables: economic development, organizational governance of the Visitor Bureau, your business support, government support. Look at that, all at fours. And then on the lowest scoring variables, workforce, of course, is the bottom one once again. So in conclusion, again, you've got great bones here in Manhattan. The data shows that you don't have many potholes to fix here like we find in many communities. There are some things to work on. A survey like this helps point to some areas to build upon, some good things to build upon, or some shortcomings to work on. That's what we worked this morning with the steering committee to help identify some of these items as we prepare a strategic plan for the Visitor Bureau. But all in all, the message is very positive.
And if you saw in Karen's report on the occupancy numbers, your hotels are in the low 50% in occupancy. And so it tells us that one event, one series of events will not get you back. Prior to the pandemic, you were in the mid to high 60% occupancy range. And that's really where hotels are performing well. And that's where you need to get back to that number. And so our strategic plan that we are going to write based on today's meetings and input will have a strong focus on marketing and destination development in terms of business development, recruiting groups and bringing business here, because we know an overnight visitor spends 2 to 3 times as much as a day tripper. And if we focus on getting overnight visitors, the natural byproduct is day trippers. And so this strategic plan is going to take a heavy focus on those aspects, and then the steering committee will continue to support the Chamber of Commerce's efforts on workforce and other initiatives that are those things that are affecting the industry and holding it back. And with that, we will ask if you have any questions for us.
From an overall industry perspective, where are we at as far as the business community with, conventions, seminars, training things? Or, if pre-pandemic was 100%, are we at 75, 80, or do you have a feel for that?
That's an actual Karen question in terms of the specific bookings and things that you're bringing. What I heard in your report is that you're making progress on bringing business meetings back, but the whole sector everywhere has.
Well, that was my question. Where's the whole sector, not just Manhattan, just overall industry? Where do you say we're
in
at?
Charlotte, a big part of it is getting people back in the office. And if everybody's working at home, well, then who does a business traveler call on? How do you make sales calls when people are at home and on Zoom meetings? And so having in-person business leads to more in-person conferences. And honestly, corporate America was very profitable in many ways because they cut all business travel out and they cut conventions out. And so people are coming back. In fact, today we met at your conference center and you had a very large group there, and I talked to some of the vendors who were in from Boston who were here staying to work a safety and handling materials conference that was driving a lot of room nights, and everybody was excited to see. So meetings are coming back, but they're often coming back one day shorter, less attendees, and so we're just having to push to get the numbers back. It's a big lift.
One of the good things we have is we've built onto the convention center, so we can host larger groups.
Absolutely.
To everyone's credit, we were able.
Well, and it's a constant dance to match facilities, whether they're indoor or whether they're outdoor, sports fields, facilities, et cetera, with your room availability. Because if you're not careful, if you build, say, sports fields that drive summer sports and your hotels are already sold out on summer weekends, then you're going to invest in the fields just to drive the room nights into the town next door. And I saw this down in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. They built a spectacular sports complex right on the city limit line, and right next door was a huge cluster of hotels, I mean, not half a mile away. And so all the room nights from those sports tournaments they were hosting and recruiting were going to the next county over. And you know, you want to keep the money here. If you're going to invest in the facilities, so it's always matching up and working with the hotels to make sure that if we're going to invest in facilities, let's make sure we're going to get the room nights out of it.
At a time when we need them.
Yeah.
Are there questions?
Not for these guys.
Thank you very
Look
much for
forward
your
to-
time.
Will we see their report, or you will? Okay. We'll be interested in your assessment, final assessment. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate the work you're doing. Means the community needs to know itself, so more numbers, the better.
Karen, I had one question. I should have asked you early when you had the slide up. I think it showed that we had 129 more rooms available this year than 2021. And I'm racking my brain trying to figure out where those came from. I know when the Hampton burned down, there was a drop.
Yep.
But then it came back up, and I don't remember who that replacement, where those rooms, whose rooms those were.
The Hilton ad.
Yeah, the courtyard came online.
Oh, the courtyard, that's it.
Oh, the courtyard, Marriott.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep,
okay.
that is
Yep.
180 or something total.
Yep.
Something, yeah. Okay,
Okay,
very good, thank you.
is that it?
I think we have lots of numbers.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you, to promote Manhattan. Again, on behalf of our staff, we do appreciate the ability to tell our story. So we appreciate that. Thank you.
And the takeaway is that it behooves all of us to go get any organization we belong to come have a conference or convention here in Manhattan.
Absolutely. It was truly great today as we started early at 7:30 in the morning to walk through that conference center. It was like old times because the pre-convene area was robust with folks. Last night when I dropped the guys at the hotel, of course, the Chiefs were playing, but the bar was full of folks that were there for the conference, and they were down socializing and cheering on the Chiefs. And so it was a glimpse of what Manhattan should be like on a regular basis. So
I've just been for the last 3 days at the League of Kansas Municipalities Conference and at the Overland Park Convention Center. I just got back last night. And I was trying to think if we could handle that. It seemed to me there were more people than ever. And I think it's because for the last couple of years, we haven't
right.
I don't remember whether they had one and whether I just didn't go or not, but everybody was ready to come out and go again and renew those connections.
Yes.
Because that's what it is. It's relationships.
It is.
And networking. And so it matters that we put an effort into it.
Absolutely.
Every one of us, yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate you coming this evening. Okay, and the next item on the agenda is,
See if there's any public-
we have an
Would
up,
you
huh?
want to see if there's any public comment?
Is there any public comment on the information presented by the chamber this evening? Certainly is interesting information, so. Okay, seeing none, thank you. And the next item on the agenda then is the city manager's briefing, and you're welcome. Ron is gone, and Jason is the assistant city manager, no, deputy, what are you?
It's all right, deputy.
All
yeah.
of the above.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's going to present the update this evening.
Thank you, Mayor. You each have a planning chart in front of you. nothing real new or changes from last time, so I won't go through that in great detail unless you have questions. Work sessions are on the back. We have a lot of openings. We'll work to fill those through the end of the year. Commissioner Mata did reach out to Katie Jackson, our city attorney, I believe it was last week, and just asked about the elections and signage ordinances. We recognize it's the middle of October. The election's coming within a couple weeks. But we have put a plan together to bring back to you. It's multiple ordinances that we'll need to address that are outdated, possibly even not necessarily in line with where federal and state law are today. But by next summer, we'd like to have those before you, opportunity to get those cleaned up and readopted potentially before the next election next year.
One of those is we still have that. You can't canvass on Sundays, which according to federal law, you can't. It's 365 days a year type of thing. And that's on the county website that people click and go into, and so.
And we recognize political signs show up in the right of way. You can go back a few years and recognize we don't allow that now. I do believe there's different ways to interpret this. Our folks are looking.
There's
Yeah.
something out there that
Yep.
says so many days out, you can put it in.
Exactly. So we have to align these things, and they are ever changing. There's always somebody challenging something, and we just need to get our ordinances up to date and up to speed. We'll get our people trained by way of interpretation, because I think you're right, during the political season, we need to keep our hands off
Yeah, I
of them.
think some of the
So,
federal or state candidates, because if you saw it during that last round, all of a sudden, all those signs were out
Yeah.
there. And I think they're going by that
Yeah.
statute saying we can do it.
yeah, and legal's gonna take a look at it and give our folks an interpretation in case we get calls, but there are varying opinions on some more recent laws and changes in those. So again, we'll use the first part of the next year to really dive into those and bring those to your attention. The other item I wanted to just see, right now we have Commissioner Mata in the homecoming parade. It's Friday, October 28th, 4:30 start. Any, Mark or Linda, did you plan on
I
being
do,
part of that? Okay.
yes,
Got you down.
I
yeah.
don't know, I know before we used to have.
Old
The,
engine one, yeah.
the old engine number one,
Yep.
yeah.
And if we want that, we can get that
Yeah.
reserved.
28th,
Yes, Friday.
sign me up.
I need a stool,
We will.
a little ladder or
Yep.
something. That is the highest jump.
Yep, we'll get you, we'll get
Getting
you
in there.
taken care of. And
Thank
we'll
you.
check with Wynn and Yusha when they
Yeah.
get back.
Sure. And I think there's a homecoming parade too. Are we in that?
That's
or-
the homecoming parade,
That's
Friday, October 28th.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the veterans.
Yeah, you got a couple, you got a Veterans Day. We'll get to that one here probably next time we meet together.
Okay, all right. Okay.
That was all I had there.
I wanted, you have on the October 18th agenda, the Aggieville parking garage.
Mm-hmm.
Parking is the issue, and so I just wondered, what is it you plan to bring? Is
The-
it the ordinance?
Yep.
Is it parking ordinance, or is it just a briefing, or what?
First reading of an ordinance.
Ordinance?
To adopt the regs for the parking, and it'll also be the fee consideration, which if you're okay with, we'll bring a resolution back at second reading.
Okay.
So we'll give you an opportunity to look at how we're planning to structure things on a daily, hourly basis.
And that would be effective January 1, as I
Correct.
recall.
January, yep.
Yeah, and the comprehensive plan says on the 18th that we are, the comp plan amendment to incorporate the housing market analysis, and we don't even have the final on the housing market analysis.
You had a work session.
Yeah.
Just a couple weeks ago. They'll finalize it, and that'll be the night for consideration.
So it's going to be on the 18th agenda, and then we'll amend the comp plan that fast
At the same time. You'll be doing both.
at the same
Yeah.
time.
You'll
I was gonna
accept the
say,
report, but you'll host a hearing and first reading.
The planning board will be presenting the final plan on the 13th.
Okay,
So
be
there will be,
presented
if
to
if
the
you'd like a
planning
preview of the full report, you can certainly tune into the planning board meeting.
so it'll be on their agenda October 13th?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, they make that recommendation to amend the comp plan
Yeah, no, I
before it
just-
comes to the city
You
commission.
know, takes a little while to read
Sure.
through those. And I did read through it the first time, and I don't think there were many, but I would like you to point out what those changes are.
Sure.
Let's see.
We're gonna keep working with Manhattan Housing Authority. We've got that pre-development agreement. for November 1st. We'll see if that
November
sticks.
1st.
We've got some work to do there. We'll keep working on it, though.
And it's on here? I
It's
just
at the
haven't
bottom.
scanned
Yeah,
yet.
the-
Okay, I
The
see it.
11-1 meeting's at the bottom.
What was I thinking? I wanted to ask about something. Composition of the Housing Steering Committee. This is just a discussion. This is not appointing anyone. Like, a woman called me today who's a senior citizen, and she said she's not paying attention to this Manhattan Housing Authority stuff. She just wants to know, as a senior citizen, who's looking after the interests of senior citizens? And how can I get on one of those housing committees? And I said, well, that's coming up. Won't be very long, but we don't have a process, so I want to be sure that people who are, we did talk about the people on the Housing Market Analysis Steering Committee, just keep moving on, but some of them were interested in being involved in a project, but not coming to meetings long-term. And their interests may not be the same. Agreeing to serve on a study is one thing, but agreeing to be on a committee for a longer period of time, and what the charge is, is.
Well, isn't part of that, if I recall correctly, to set up an ongoing committee to keep working on this, and the part that we're still waiting for is that final strategy. I mean, they outlined a few strategies, but to
Yeah,
decide
but I'm
exactly
just
what we're
saying,
gonna do.
Yeah, I'd like to
It's
give the
like-
public time, if, assuming we're going to involve the public, and I would assume we will, we need to allow some time for that also.
I think as a result of considering it on 10/18, 11/1
Yeah.
gives you an opportunity. You don't have to do
Yeah.
it that night, but it gives you an opportunity to talk about where you want to head with that. And you could talk about it during the hearing, too.
Because there is a direction, is a good point. Where are we going with it? And, yeah. What else was there? Something else that I had wanted to ask about. Well, can't think of it right now. What about some of the topics for the upcoming work sessions? Instead of open, we ought to have them packed. We have so many things we ought to be talking about and thinking about. Do you have any ideas of topics we should ask for a briefing on? Like, I'd like for us to have a every other month update on the recreation, status of the recreation department, and how things are going there. I think there's a lot of community interest. It doesn't have to occupy a whole meeting, I don't mean that, but 15 minutes is, we were all concerned not that long ago. Well,
One thing that's not listed, since most of you, or a couple of you won't be available on the 25th for that military lecture series, Ron briefed you last time, we were going to have a discussion item related to the cemetery and just how we can approach a master planning effort there, and bring Mike Moeller, our cemetery sexton, in front of you so he can kind of just give you an update and tell you what's going on and some of the needs on the horizon. So we're actually moving that to the November 8th meeting is what the plan was.
good.
That one won't be open. We should have one item there for November 8th.
November 8th,
Yeah.
good, okay. Yeah, all right, cemetery, so it's not empty,
It's not.
okay. But I can see that we could have another item on that agenda, too.
I
So-
do think we have another topic. We're
Okay.
just not quite ready to share
Okay,
it yet.
all right,
but yeah.
okay. There are just lots of things happening in the community. I think as we get ready to end the calendar year, it would be good to have a budget update for,
Sure.
like in November. How does it look for the end of the year? Where are we headed? What's our,
Sales taxes look good.
They do.
Yeah.
I'm nervous that we got an extra week of the next reporting period. We'll find out. Hopefully we didn't,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of worried we did. It's happened to us before, but we'll keep an eye out. And the next time we have a discussion, I'll bring back an updated dashboard financially, and we can get some feedback from you all.
Okay.
But I do want you should and Wynn's responses there too before we finalize something,
'Cause
but,
I mean, you've been talking about this dashboard, but
yeah. Yep,
it's figment.
we'll give you a new
Okay.
one and have that for consideration
Okay.
on the 8th of November evening after the
Okay.
cemetery discussion.
Dashboard.
Got the K-State men's basketball pick 5 game
Yeah.
request. And the KU game, January 17th, Tuesday at 6 o'clock. What's the plan?
We,
Commissioner,
What date is it?
Serious
I was
topic,
wondering the
serious.
same thing.
Okay.
I've had that question already from.
So do I buy a ticket to the game, or do I come here and hang out with you guys for 10 minutes before I watch it?
17.
your phone on Zoom and.
Is that a third or a, that's a third?
That's the third
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yep.
So that means the 3rd is the first Tuesday. So we would definitely meet that time. We'd definitely meet the 10th. Yeah, we could look at moving things around. We could do legislative and work session on the 25th, 24th.
Fourth.
Yeah. So we can move things around if need be.
So I can go ahead and order a ticket maybe?
Think you're all right.
Okay, all right.
We'll put it on the calendar and we'll start scheduling around it.
Thanks for bringing that up, Commissioner.
It might be important to a lot of people. Okay.
But we should be able to conduct business and be fine around it. It won't be an inconvenience.
Okay, updates. I had the pleasure of meeting several of the city administrators and a lot of people in the community earlier this week at the, with KDOT, the Secretary of Transportation, and the governor came to announce 32 transportation alternative grants to communities. And, you know, I'm not sure all the communities even know they can apply because they don't have the staff to do it. They're so stretched, the small communities. But Manhattan fortunately received 2 of those grants. And you might mention what those 2 are.
Yeah, Jared was there as well. He can speak more clearly. I think one of them for sure is Juliet Avenue brick project that I think it's 24 money that'll be coming into the community. So that one's out there a little ways.
So Juliet and Points will be one of them, and then the Valley Drive sidewalk, which is along Fort Riley Boulevard. That's kind of getting that final connection piece. We got that brand new K-18 bridge that added that connection sidewalk, but we still have a gap that gets you to 17th Martin Luther King Drive. So that connection is going to be really vital.
Is that the shovel ready to go, or what year are those that one's supposed to happen?
Probably 2023. That was the TA announcement. Was for 2023 projects. So
the Juliet one too?
Juliet, I believe, is probably going to be on the heels of the.
There are actually 3 projects in that area. 600 points, 600 block of points, Juliet and Points, and then South Juliet from Points to Pierre.
Beside the library.
Yeah,
west
that's
side.
So we've
that's the
got,
brick.
and we've already decided the 600 block of points, that thing's already
Yep.
going. We've already voted all that.
Yep.
And
It might be listed wrong, or well, I do know Juliet and Pierre is the one by the Manhattan Catholic schools, and that's where it was, and
Right.
that project's going to be
That's
there
where the
too. So there,
announcement
there must be multiple Juliet projects.
Yeah,
And that's a pedestrian issue and a
Yep.
traffic, slow people down. Yeah, I don't know how
I
extensive.
think
it is.
Rob told me that was 24 money.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
not this month.
right.
So that was good news, to have the community receive those and the recognition, because the announcement was here for all 32. And it was, and a lot of the children from $7 were there and filled the steps of the church as some of the audience. It was really an electric day. It was great. And at the League of Kansas Municipalities, the governor was there too. I was walking toward her and she said, "You again?" And but the League of Kansas Municipalities, Jared and Diane Stoddard from Lawrence, and maybe, why don't, instead of me, why don't you say what you did?
Yeah, the league asked Manhattan and Lawrence to present on the trend of streeteries, or as we call them, our outdoor dining platforms downtown. Diane's the assistant city manager for Lawrence, and we had a really successful presentation, good turnout. A lot of communities were interested to hear what we were doing in Manhattan. Lawrence has taken a little bit of a different approach where they lease the parking stalls in front of the business establishment, and then they kind of have the ability to make with it what they wish, but they have some standards in place to make it look nice and meet traffic standards, kind of like we do around ours. So it was neat to see kind of how they're doing it and see how we're doing it, and both ours and theirs have been quite a success, so it was cool to present that.
Even Clay Center's got one there at their brew house down there. I was there for Piety a couple Saturdays ago.
So, anyway, it was a good, I wasn't able to go to yours because I'd already signed up for another one. But Eric Norris from the public library was there talking about libraries across the state. And, who else? I don't know, good people from all over the state come together and just compare notes and have a good discussions. So, this morning, I met with a dozen. K-State has Grant Chapman from the International Programs Office has been hosting a delegation of a dozen from Indonesia, and they are from a university there that are interested in agriculture. And so they were leaving today, but they wanted to know more about what we do locally. What's our city like? And so they met with the mayor, and we had a nice visit and a good, just a good discussion. It was the first time I've ever interacted with people where we needed an interpreter. There were 3 interpreters for this 9 or 10 people, because they all went different ways for different interests on the camp once they were here. But it was really interesting, and I appreciated that opportunity to. And they were especially interested in the EDGE Collaboration District and how did you do that? And by working together, and so they were very impressed. And just wanted to bring you that word. Okay, I think we're probably ready to adjourn. Is there a motion?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Jared, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Hattasol,
Yes.
Commissioner Motta,
Yes.
Mayor Morse,
Yes?
motion passes.
Thank you.
We're adjourned.
Meeting is